Hello, butterfly, are you there? Is anybody actually seeing me right now? I didn't plan to use my face, but for right now, I will. I'm just wondering if anybody's seeing me at my kitchen table in my pajamas. I did not expect to use my face, but since we're having technical difficulties, I'd like to apologize. I'm doing the best I can. I'm an Apple user and they sometimes don't play nice, but very excited about this interview. Oh my goodness. Okay, can you hear me now? Can you? And now it's delayed. Thank you again, everybody, for your patience. Why is it? Can you hear me now? Oh my gosh, I see you, Butterfly. Again, I apologize for all this. Oh my goodness, you people. I'm trying not to cry for all your guys' prayers. Thank you so much. Can you hear me? Butterfly? Oh, there you are. Can you hear me?
Huh. I'm not getting any sound.
All righty, so welcome.
Can you hear me now? I can hear you. Can you hear me? Let's see how my cam's on. All right. Does that sound better?
Yes, I can hear you, but for some reason it's delayed. Are you getting it delayed?
Yeah, you look fine to me, but I'm delayed. Huh.
Yes. Wait, now. Wait, hello. Are you there?
I am.
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Oh, God bless. And like I said earlier, I was about to cry because I know we were all praying, and I didn't plan to show much. Yes, you do.
Perfect.
Okay,
Right
so
on.
it sounds
Does it sound okay? Does that sound better? Because you sound perfect to me.
hey. Okay, so it seems like we're delayed.
All
You
right.
sound fine. You sound fine.
Okay.
Okay, it just seems a little bit to be delayed or something. Wait, I think I might have fixed it. How about now? Can you see me?
I can see you just fine, and you sound perfect to me.
I finally figured it all out. So,
Okay.
and I want to thank you, everybody, for your patience and your prayers. So I just want to thank you for what you do. I've seen you before. I could hardly wait to interview you today. I hope we can get a whole half an hour. I'm sorry it took us so long. But welcome to Eternal Affairs Media, Truth Radio. I'm Barbara Lee. Again, I didn't plan to be on camera, but I'll go ahead and do it. And just thank you for what you do. But let's first say a prayer and thank Jesus for this. And thank you, God, for this time together and for the people like Firefly down there fighting for our country. And thank you for blessing us and hearing our prayer in the election. God bless you. Amen. Okay. So welcome. Do you have anything you want to say, like what you're seeing at the border? Because I have a whole bunch of questions about that 2-year-old that, if you saw that, probably only on Fox or conservative TV.
You know what? I missed that. And I'm not directly at the border now, but I have all the updates. I thought I might summarize what's been going on the last 4 years and even hit up a little bit about what our boots on the ground are doing in North Carolina at this time.
Awesome. Go for it. Fill us in.
Okay. I started going down there June of 2021. I've been going down there ever since, 3.5 years. My first few times down there, I was horrified at what I saw. It shook me to the core. Finding cell phones with children being posed for trafficking, hitting traffic lines, pulling up supplies, seeing more than I could bear. I came back home and after that first time and was devastated. And God sent me back, and He has sent me back. My job with Veterans on Patrol is I go down there, I pitch my tent as close to the border as I can. Hopefully, other volunteers show up. Lewis Arthur is the one who showed me and trained me for what was going on at the border.
Let me ask you one question, because I'm in San Diego. So where were you at? What, in Arizona, Texas? Whereabout were you at?
Arizona, Buenos Aires, Sassabee, closer to Tucson.
Okay, like Pima County.
Pima County. Yeah.
Well, my mom and dad lived in near Nogales. So
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So go ahead. I just wanted to get an idea where you were at.
All right, no problem. I continued to travel back and forth. I live in Washington, and I drive down there. I bring all my own supplies, and I pitch my tent. Great people have supplied to make sure Bibles and food and needs are met at the border. A lot of children coming through, a lot of people, but a lot of children by themselves or mixed with families. These children come through with a little piece of paper and a phone number wrote on it of whoever's bought and paid for them. So
And that's what happened yesterday. They had a 2-year-old come through by herself. She said she was 2. I felt she was prompted, but we'll get into that in a minute. But so the left is saying that we're going to separate children from their families, but it sounds like they're already separated. Like they're not with their parents at all crossing the border.
Some children are sent to go on work camps and earn their parents to get here. Some children are brought to their parents, and I have had the blessing of making sure they're safely with their parents. When I was down there, especially after Lewis had to leave, I was still a little green, didn't know what I was dealing with. Some people from the Trump administration at that time had gotten a hold of me and said, Butterfly, this is what you're up against. Trump had us searching for 6,000 missing children. We were not able to locate the children, but we were able to find out where they came from, what was going on, how they were trafficked, and they schooled me. So I do have a friend who's trying to get back into her place under Trump. And as for families, we're going to fight for our families, but almost all the children that came through were being trafficked. Many of those children are no longer with us, especially the ones that are trafficked through around satanic sacrificial holidays and such.
Let me ask you that, because these are some hard questions that my friends and I always talk about, but no one ever addresses this. So in the Santana that they're doing, so they're bringing up these children to sacrifice or use their body parts or whatever. Is that where some of these children are going, and that's why they can't find them right now?
Yes, they're bought and paid for. We even had families in Mexico crying because their children were being stolen off their own front lawns. At first, the children were tickets. The only way you could get through the border is with a child. We have a lot of criminals that come through. We break down their water stations, and when they get flushed out onto the main roads, we call Border Patrol, try to get them turned in. I had 300 criminal men shoot through the border all at the same time when I was down there back in September of 2022. It's ongoing to watch full-grown men dressed in camo with supplies on their back, running back and forth through the border, either dropping off supplies or trafficking children. The children are either trafficked via the government-funded child trafficking or in the back terrain area, depending on what they're being bought and used for. So most of anybody that's come through has been to a human trafficking game played by our government And we have had a lot of prisons emptied into our country. We've had a lot of psychotic nut houses emptied into our country. We have had a lot of terrorists come into our country, more than we can even comprehend. We have had families come through. I am there to meet. I've even if my car gets surrounded with people in the middle of the night, all dressed in black, trying to jump in. I'm not going to accommodate them, but I will hand them a Bible and share the gospel. Because if you're going to come in my country, please know who Jesus is. If you're going to come over here and you want to find a better way, then come in with I'm
with
gonna
our values, because what I can't stand is they come into our country, especially right when Biden opened the border, and then they were all marching in with their flags from their country. I thought so disrespectful to us. If you're fleeing because you're being tortured in your own country, why are you bringing it into my country and then expecting me to change to your values? And obviously, are you actually seeing the ones that are coming from across the pond, coming from the Middle East, coming from Africa?
I've seen all races, all of them, and I have met them and sat with them and discuss and helped them. I have an apothecary to help heal them if they're sick. I got food and clothes and ministry. I exchange information. I give the children the information. I give the families the information. We see them through to safety in Jesus' name, and we send people to knock on their doors and check on them. I have families that I personally look out for. I do have a friend that wants to get back in under Trump with what she was doing, and I will use my resources to make sure that families are kept together. Our problem is not the families. There are some families that want to go back home because they were promised something they weren't given. They're on the streets, they're starving. Their children have been taken from them. They're being treated almost worse here than they were at home, and they want to go home. But from the administration that's entering, from what I've seen and the proofs in the pudding, this is a layered thing. The criminals are being sent back. The people that were taken out of their prisons in their country are being sent back. The terrorists are being sent back.
Well, how are they finding, again, like all my friends, I'm just like, love talking to you. How are they knowing that they're terror? I mean, how are we identifying that? Is it through some facial recognition program? I mean, how do they know? Obviously, these, men between 18 and 35 in camo, we know they're not here for their families. But how are they confirming that they are terrorists, or that they are coming out of jails, or etc.? No one is even asking that in the media.
It sounds like we're getting a good border czar that's going to be paying attention to that. And
Tom Holland,
yeah, really excited about him. And he's going to be rough and he's going to be tough. But when you've got, there's going to be an understanding here. I've got little Christian who came over the border, 8 years old, by himself. And I was the only one there. There was no border patrol. I was able to see him safely to his mother. I know where he's at. I know where she's at. And we were able to get him a bicycle, get him some food, and take care of him and his mom. And we will continue to protect them. Anybody that have my phone number that are getting a hold of me and saying we're scared, we're going to be kicked out of the country. Now, to each of us, God's got each of us. So some families are going to go back. They are, and from my understanding, if there is a violent or a criminal, you get caught with a DUI, you're being a thief, you're murdering, you're stealing, and then you say, well, don't separate me from my family. Well, our new borders are says your family can all go, but we can't have that here. We've got enough of our own problems.
Yes.
The way I'm not against people finding refuge, and 1 million people a year normally do in the United States. But the way this went about, our biggest issue is the amount of children now on our streets that are being trafficked, the amount of children that were burned at the sacrificial altar, the amount of children being used and abused in work camps in our country, that are being raped and abused in a country where raping a 1-year-old child is almost a normal cops aren't even impressed by it anymore. You know, that's got to stop. This is not the way you do it. So if you're going to come into a country, just like any other country, anywhere, you got to go through things. Who are you? Where are you from? Why are you here? What can we do to help you? What's your plan? America was found on immigration. People came over and built and did things. We've invited people over here and we've given them no options. They can't find a job. They got nowhere to live. I got people come over here that were promised one thing and were left on the streets. And we've had to get them motel rooms. We've had to get them plane to their families here and help them because they're already here. So now they're under us and we're going to help take care of them. But then even under that, Catholic Charities would raise the prices and triple charge for planes so the government's done what it needs to do. It's since I have been at the border, I have documented everything from the children coming through to following up with them and hearing what has happened. And what we have done as a government for these people has been horrendous.
Well, sure. I mean, yeah, what they've done, it is. And what my question, another question is, so we have the good people that came here for a better life, but they're weighing down on our system. I mean, are we going to keep those people? And because what they're saying, 20 million plus the border?
First, let's work on getting the terrorists and the criminals and the bad guys back where they belong, out of here, because we don't want what happened. We don't want Gaza here, for example. We don't want them blowing us up. We don't want them taking us over and destroying us. So that is the focus, is the criminals. They're not going after families right now. Okay. And
that's what they need to see, but that's what the left is telling us. And we all know it's a lie. And AOC's hateful.
Well, they're scared. They're scared. They got a president in that scares the heck out of them. I try not to throw judgment at anybody. Yeah. But we're Americans and we all live together. When it comes to families, for example, I got a woman who came through and her child was a mess. And I says, oh my gosh, I had the translator on the phone. Is the baby okay? Well, the baby was 8, not 2 like the baby looked. The baby was so malnutritioned and sick. Well, it turned out the mom was being raped by her dad since she was 10. It was his child, and she escaped here to the United States. The child is safe. The mom and child are both safe. The baby got a wheelchair. She's in school. She's happy and smiling and healthy. We have in America, this is America. We reach out and help other countries. There is no part of our country that's going to send that family home. And we have churches that need to stand up, but we have different open doors to help people to say, okay, you came through under refugee status under a door that was opened for you. It wasn't made illegal to you. It's illegal according to our law, but so our focus is, and JD Vance said it very, very clearly, let's get the criminals, the terrorists out. They're easy to find. They're the ones that are taking over apartment complexes and destroying small towns.
Did you see what the mayor was in Colorado, Denver, is saying that he's going to fight to keep everybody in his city and that he'd go to jail? Like he's not going to deport. He's going to fight Trump. Did you see that comment? And what are your thoughts?
I think that's going to be how it ends up. I don't know how they're going to work state by state. Maybe Trump's going to work something out state by state. I think if a state says that and all the terrorists and criminals move into their state and destroy their state, that they did that to themselves. But to sit there and say, for the families that are here and we are keeping safe, we are going to help to accommodate them to stay in our country. There's a difference there between everybody who's come through deserves. A lot of people have been sent here by their country to destroy our country from the inside out. So I think it's in layers. JD Vance said it's in layers, and I respect that. And my biggest issue right now is all the children that were here. I had so many hordes and hordes of children come through, either by themselves, a few teenagers at a time, or large groups, up to 38 children, ages 4 to 14, one time at 10 at night. They all just came through, a bunch of babies.
With no parents?
Nope, just children. I have seen horrible things. I've seen families that have come through and they all watched each other get raped before they came through. Each of these families paid the cartel 5,000, give or take, a person. Nobody came through for free.
Of
And there
course.
was one family that did make it through without the cartel. Luckily, I had a volunteer down there that night because I was not out there that night, and he received them and exchanged information. And the cartel was after somebody in the cartel was after their daughter. They wanted the boys for the MS-13 and the daughter for their own pleasure, whatever. And they were here under refuge status. Well, when they got through, the cartel let our government know, no, we want them back. They're not allowed to be there. So immediately, Border Patrol sent them back to Mexico. Luckily, we gave them a Bible with our number in it. They were able to get a hold of us and say, help us now. And we were able to get them into, they'd already been put in Mexico, but we got them put into a sanctuary in a Mexico church. And then we got them, helped to get them a place to rent until they could find safety. And we protected them. That's
Now,
what we did. That's a
with
we
the Bi-
people thing.
with the Bibles, I mean, are you seeing some of the people coming to Christ? I mean, it's a little bit what you're doing. Are you seeing people that maybe didn't know about Jesus, and you've been able to talk about that? Are you getting any success there?
Absolutely.
Um,
Absolutely. Even getting them a really nice Bible. Some of them got kind of just a cheap little Mexico Bible, Spanish Bible, whatever, when they got here, and we were able to send them a nice Bible. But I had times down there that one time I had 11 babies come through, and they come walking up, and I'm ministering to them and helping them. And then we all sat together and prayed. I had a bunch of women and children, 25 women and children show up in my camp. I was like, wow, that you made that one easy, Lord, and we all wrapped around each other and prayed in our own language.
that
So
is amazing, because it's like what was meant for bad. I mean, them opening the border like they did, and I did not realize how awesome this is, but it turned for good, because you are converting people to know Christ no matter what. And that never crossed my mind. And people like what you're doing. That's just amazing. Are you reaching out? What about the people that are coming from the Middle East that obviously that are Muslim? Are you reaching any of them, or is that just out of touch?
absolutely. I had one man come through, and he was Palestinian, and he said, I spent years in prison there, and he explained the horrors of their prison situation. There's teenagers, and they're in solitary confinement in horrible situations, being not cared for, dying in their own cells. And he came over, and actually, I've got him on one of my YouTubes. I interviewed him. I always stick my phone. I document everything. So as soon as the babies come through, I stick my phone, I put it on video, stick it in my pocket. I'm not going to have it in their face. And so you're seeing what's going on. When this man and I ended up in a conversation, he said, I'm here to I want to know what's happening. He says, I got out of my prison. I got a good job. I had a car. I had everything. He says, but me and my wife for 3 months have went through the deepest hell of coming up through Mexico and all this just to get through this border, to come through and say, what the hell is going on? Why is this going on in my country? Because the United States we do hold a lot of representation in all countries to keep a peace. And that had been just, he wanted to know what was going on. He a great guy. As he went to leave, some people came up with their news cameras or whatever, and immediately were rude to his wife. And he said, you don't know who I am. You don't know who I am. And all of a sudden he went all over the internet as some horrible terrorist that was here because they twisted his words. And that was done by the right. So I'm going to
Oh,
say
they did?
both
Okay.
sides have been, we got to hit a middle area that we're Americans, and we all have a right to see and believe the way we see and believe. And everybody gets a chance, but we're all children of God. So I'm only accountable to God, you
That's
know?
awesome.
Yeah. And give them that too. If God has them going back home with their families there, then so be it. If God has them here, then people like me are going to show up. And I will get through to the administration. I'm able to get through the Trump administration and say, hey, I got a family here that I'm going to protect. and there's a misunderstanding, and I'm asking what I can do to help them to stay, or at least whatever I can do. I'm going to do whatever I can do that God
Well,
puts
you're
my
kind of right. I'm going to touch back on the right because I'm obviously conservative, but actually I wanted to bring this up is I live in San Diego, and I don't know if you knew this story where a bunch of immigrants were coming in and they flagged down a school bus, and it was my side, the right, that spun the story that they were trying to commandeer the bus and steal the children. But I've been in Mexico and I see how they have buses like school buses and they come to stops and pick people up. And I think that's all that happened. I don't think those immigrants were trying to do anything to the children. They just thought, oh, I can get on the bus. And I thought it was unfair how a lot of people were saying, no, they were coming to steal the children. So I totally understand that there's both sides and we have to come to a middle. We can't save the whole world, but it's what God, those people that get here is in that your meeting is most certainly God's will and what you're doing for them.
I hope so. That's what I pray to be doing. So we've got a big problem because what we have now is millions of children that have been trafficked through. Now, remember, in the there were 6,000 that they were trying to find from the
Right.
Trump administration before. Now we're into millions of children, and I have seen. Let me give you an example of this. When they're bringing over infants, you'll have a cartel coyote woman, which is a blank-eyed woman who has a baby on her back, and she's just the delivery system, but she's going to call herself mom. Now, remember, we're not checking DNA. We're not checking resources. These kids go to whoever's number fits the little, whoever's phone fits the number in their pocket. We're just not. We're not. There were times I had children come through and our government tear them from the families, and we had to reach in and try to get these children to their families because they wanted to traffic these children. Children are a hot commodity. CPS makes a lot of money when they take children away from families and reestablish them in other places. Our foster care is a mess. I even look in North Carolina right now. Those people are homeless. They've lost everything. They're intense. They're trying to survive. The government's not going to go down and help. They're going to do a little bit. We, the people, are the ones doing something. The government right now is working on their new mining strategies and kicking the people off the land. But in the meantime, those people that are homeless, CPS is now involved in taking the children. And it's like, help the family. If we're going to help the family over the border and give them a hotel room or help them, why are you going to just take these children away? And these families are, I mean, we got boots on the ground protecting these children and comforting families that their children have been taken from them. They don't know where they're at. They just came in and says, nope, you don't have a home. You're not a safe home. We're taking your kids. Bam, they're gone.
So what do you like? What do you think the motive was for this current fake administration to open the borders and let all these people in? I mean, what? I mean, and then they just it's unbelievable. But what do you think? Biden really was doing that for votes, but kids can't vote. Do you think? You know, the darker side we were talking earlier about satanic things were was Biden told he had to do it because he's being blackmailed because of all the stuff he's done. But what do you have any idea why this whole crazy border thing happened?
Yeah, I think it was all political. I watched the Border Patrol start. They always worked with me when I first went down. They're like, butterfly, what hole are you going to be at? 'Cause I'd sit in a hole all day long and you know, make get to take care of the children and then stand in the way with the dog and keep the cartel coyotes and their drop-offs and stuff on their side. And they'd be like, where are you? And I'd say, I'm here and I'm there. And I'd call them on the phone. I got some babies here. They would, you know, we were doing awesome. But then the politics stuff got in and they didn't want me in the middle there, making sure these children got to safety. That was the whole problem. The Samaritans, no mas mortes, said they wanted these kids to stay on the traffic line. And what I was doing was I was offering them a phone number to call if they're in trouble. And I offered them, I got all their information. I got that little information on that paper. I got everything I could so we could follow up with them, see where they ended up. either put operations to get them to safety, because they're at the border. If a child comes through and they've been raped and abused and hurt, and Border Patrol's hours out because they've gotten so many children that day, if I take that child and put that child in my car and bring them to the hospital, I will go to prison for kidnapping. And the
Isn't
Border
that crazy?
Patrol,
Isn't that
it was
crazy?
crazy.
How it flips.
I
Go ahead.
watched the politics turned it around. Border Patrol started threatening me. Butterfly, you can't be here. We're going to take your car. We're going to take your weapon. We're going to take your dog. You're going to go to jail. I'm just picking up trash and ministering to those that are coming through. Sometimes they'd say that, but they'd kind of give me a little thumbs up at the same time, like, thank you, keep doing what you're doing. But politically, they were being told because it's human trafficking. Everybody's being placed where they want everybody placed for control. It is about power. So when I would call them,
let me
it
ask you
was using humanity for power, for either the power of destroying the United States altogether or the power of keeping one political side up ahead of the other one.
Well, now that everything's changing, we got Elon Musk in there, me being a reporter, ex-media, which I didn't do well because I was conservative. But anyway, how people want to see pictures. They want to see this. How can we start getting the word out? And I think, Facebook's horrible, et cetera. And I probably got to watch what I'm saying right here. But I think things will start letting up to let people actually see it, because I think they just don't believe it.
Yeah, and I have on my YouTube and on Telegram. I also have things downloaded into USBs and other computers. I've documented everything. My conversations with Border Patrol, of course, I keep more private. Everything else is right there for everybody to see unfold in front of their very own eyes. It's not me trying to prove a point or share a narrative. I'm saying what I'm saying. You're seeing it with me from front to back. I got a playlist on my YouTube, for example, where you can watch a video of my first time at the border to my most recent update, and you can sit there and watch what's changed and what's happened at our borders in the last 4 years. What I've learned as I was learning it, because you do now the card that they've, and still because the regime is still in.
Right.
You still
January 20th can't get here soon enough.
Because it's a well-oiled machine down there. Before, the children would come through the holes in the wall, and I would recover them and help them and minister them, take care of them until Border Patrol showed up, exchange information. Now, No Mas Mortes, the Samaritans, the cartels, and the Border Patrol are all working together, and the children come through the border wall, and they're right there to haul them into trucks and take them to controlled camps.
I would love to be there to see that. My best friend and I have talked about, because we
got that on video too. I've got that on video too. Well, and so then I'll infiltrate their camps, and I'm going in, and they get mad at me, but my God covers me. I'm just, if he calls me to walk into hell and grab some babies out, I'm going to walk into hell and grab some babies out. I can't grab them out there, but that information exchange I can down the line. So I'm not going to do very good in prison. Now, if my father called me to, I'd do whatever he says, but I'd infiltrate the camps, I'd care for and take care of, but then they would hide the children. They would grab the Bibles back from the children and throw them at me and tell the children in Spanish to stay away from me. I had one Samaritan actually get through to me and say, Butterfly, yes, they are frightening the children to stay away from you. They're telling the cartels on the other side to make sure these children know that. And I've had them come and run. I've had people come through and run. And I've held my phone out while my translator, she's okay, she's safe in places where it works, or whatever, because I'm always still there. I could still get a little bag of stuff handed off to a child, or
even one kid at a time. Now, I just got the information about following your journey on Telegram, and people can see it at https // it's in the chat, t.me/border war as probably be easier people, but it's right here. They just posted it, so people can. I'm going to go watch it all, and probably want to do a news package on it.
And the border wars is going to be a lot. There's a lot to go through. I also have an at the border. It's more simple to find my stuff. And then I also have the YouTube where you can see directly what's been going on if you're looking personally. Now, for the
Okay.
border wars, you're going to hear your updates right now. In North Carolina, you will be updated. There will be live streams available. You're going to hear updates on the border as much as we can. I have not been there this year as much. Usually I'm there every fall, I'm there all the time. But this year, I've had some family situations that have called me to work from the background a little bit more than I
That just
normally
blows
do.
my mind. Being born and raised in San Diego, when borders always just my town, my state. But to hear you say there's an immigration problem in North Carolina, to me, so far up from a border is just flabbergasting.
Well, in North Carolina, what I'm talking about in North Carolina is the Hurricane Helene that took out a hurricane in a mountain of all places. You wonder how that happens. That took
wow.
out, we've got families that are displaced. So, but yes, I have border children up here in Washington. We got border kids in Chicago. They're everywhere now. They're on our streets.
Well, look what
They
happened to
don't,
Ohio with the whole thing in Ohio, that whole craziness. And then they got 15,000 people in a little town.
yeah, you've got a hardworking little town and you brought in a bunch of, that's a division of the people too. What they did there was bring people in and treat them like kings and queens with cars and places to stay. And people lost their housing, and people who are hardworking are watching somebody who illegally came into our country driving a $20,000, $15,000 car. And there's a frustration there because they don't know how to drive, and they're driving with the cars into buildings and stuff. We've heard of all that going on, and I hear you when you talk about cultures. I don't mind cultures coming in, but don't burn our cultures because
And don't make us accept it. Don't tell us that we have to change our culture. I mean, this whole country is a melting pot. So we can get San Diego has the largest Chaldeans next to Detroit. So we've kind of got used to the things and we've integrated. But when you come in and demand us to change and accept, I don't know how many cats and dogs got eaten. I know it's a voodoo practice, and they say that 30% of Haitians are worship voodoo. So I think that's where that came from. But the whole thing, and then with Lake and Riley, you ask their parents how they feel about everything. And some man that was a criminal got here and then was sent back and came back and then did the horrible thing. And now he's probably happy sitting in our jail. He's probably better off, you know what I'm saying, than whatever. Okay, I'll go to jail for the rest of my life and have a warm bed and food.
maybe. There's a lot going on in our country. I'm hoping and praying that things happen the way they're supposed to, the way I'm hearing they're supposed to happen. The fact that our border will be shut down, people don't realize. All they see is all the little families. And I have been there when the cartel and the border patrol and the reporters all worked something out and had these families come through and tried to make it all look nice. And it was so terrible to me. I dropped to my knees and just wept because I'm like, this is a game to
A
them.
lie. It's a
This is
lie.
not. Yeah, there are families coming through. Do not get me wrong. But a lot of these families, like, for example, there was a time Chiapa. I had a lot of people coming through from Chiapa, and I was like, what the heck is going on? And finally, this woman came through that could talk pretty decent English. Well, what they do is the cartels will pillage a town or city, and so the people have to flee, because if they flee to our open borders, they get 5,000 a person, give or take. Once they're over here, they're now in debt to the cartel, so they got to do whatever they're told to do. If they're promised accommodations here and those accommodations don't happen, these people now owe the cartel lots of money. The cartel has some of their children, or all of their children, is trafficking them sometimes until they pay it off. And they got to do criminal acts to earn their to pay their bill off that they'll never pay, or be in work camps that they'll never get out of. We've got big empty warehouses filled with immigrants, and that's all they do. They live in there and work. You cannot. They did not get help. They did not get help. at all. This was using humanity for power. It's
Yeah.
exactly what it was. It's exactly what I saw. And what I saw, that our children were paying the worst price. And then they sat there on the media and said, oh, the families, oh, the families. You know, that's like, I'm pro-life. Okay, I'm pro-life.
Yeah, that's mine.
And all anybody can say is, well, how about the child that was raped? Or how about the child that was, that baby is a full body at 10 weeks old. That child was ripped apart. I've seen the ultrasounds of the baby at 10 weeks gestation fighting for its life as its body parts are coming apart. I am
Well,
pro-life.
you know
But
what? And
what they
I
want to
can't
talk
believe
about,
you're
but let's
getting
finish. All they want to talk about is the child that got the incest. Very small percentage. Most people are just, I've decided I don't want it, and the child is being torn
only
apart.
2% of women who are raped get pregnant. So when they say, "Oh, we're against," I go, "Well, it's only 2% get pregnant." So you're talking about a very small amount when it comes to abortion. So no,
And
that's a whole other talk.
and my point is, you're taking a small amount of a problem that are the families that came through, and you're not paying attention to the bigger problem, which is the terrorists and the the horribleness that's the trafficking. We got to get these children to safety. We got families all over the world whose children are in America being trafficked, and these families in Mexico and Africa and all these, they want their children back in their country, back with them, not in America being raped and used for work labor or whatever they're being used for child sacrifice, whatever. When I first came down to the border, a child was $1 million a piece. Now they're 10 cents a dozen. You know, they're nothing. And so how about these people that want their children found that are being used and trafficked in the United States and brought back to their country so they can have their children back? How about that? Because that's the millions.
Well,
That's the millions.
I wish you had seen. And if I'm going to be able to eventually get the ability. I'd like for you to watch that video of that kid, that little 2-year-old, because I felt like she was being prompt, like someone taught her to say what she said, and that she's coming to her parents. But I don't even know if she knew what she was saying. And
I can speak to that. I can speak to that because that is exactly when these kids come through, they're terrified. They're all saying what they're supposed to say. They're all being very careful about what they say. They are all prompted. Don't get me wrong there. I've met these children. It's a hard enough conversation, the fact that I don't know that much Spanish. It's harder when these children are terrified for their lives and they're being told what they can and can't say. And so are the families. I've had families that said, I can't talk to you. They'll send me back. I can't do this. I can't do that. These families are controlled. They are controlled in the United States as well. They are used. We have turned to a place of such evil to use humanity that something needs to happen.
Well,
Now,
I
so
think God heard our prayers when we prayed, and we all got together and made sure there was not a cheat this time. But Tom Homan, I think it, and I hope you get a good relationship with him, because he's going to do it, and he's passionate, but at the same time he wants to kick the bad people out and then help these people that got up here. You know, could you imagine having a big hope to come to the United States, and then you end up in a warehouse and worse off than you were in your own country? Is very sad.
yeah,
We,
you can't escape. You're in trouble. It we set people up. This is crimes against humanity 100%. I've seen it myself. I've documented it self, still following up. Veterans on Patrol is still keeping an eye on our own. We're still trying to find missing children. We have missing children in every state. We have hard copies, some pictures, information. We need these children found and brought to safety. So let's even do this. Let's put our politics aside and let the chips fall where they may there. And let's we the people and we the church get together and do what we can. If we're so concerned, if there's a family that's here that escaped a painful situation at home where they're here by the skin of their teeth and for their lives, then let's help protect them as America, as our neighbors. And then let's get on the streets and find these children that are missing.
do you how many? You said there's 6. They said there were 6,000 out of the Trump administration. Do we have any idea the total now over the last 4 years?
We're in the millions. I'm
millions
sorry,
of things.
but yes, I had not only a lot of children come through, but they'll have a family come through, a mom and her 3 kids, and then 2 unaccompanied minors with her, or a mom and her child and an unaccompanied minor. Or I've had men come through with several children with him, acting like the dad may or may
Right.
not.
They're
But they
releasing,
all
they're
going to their aunts
releasing,
and uncles usually. So
they're
yes.
released. Yes, they're releasing children to men saying that they're their uncles, and they're not checking, and they're letting these kids, and some guy comes in and, gets 5 kids, and
Yeah.
he's and they're letting go.
One more. They're not paying attention. And they're gone quick. We've had some kids. There was one little girl, Glacia, and God bless her beautiful heart. She came through with about 8 children and a little 5-year-old that they found wandering around on the Mexico side. And so they come through and she's protecting this 5-year-old. And by the grace of God, we were able to get this 5-year-old home to her family. And I even got her a picture of her with her family holding up the little Bible I gave her, little child's Bible. And they're doing well. Now, Aglacy, on the other part, she ended up in Florida, West Palm Beach, Florida. And I knew she was there, and we got one phone call into the number we had for her, and they said she's at work. I mean, they immediately put this little girl to work. She's about 17. And then that was it. We never spoke again. So this girl was trafficked so fast, we couldn't even get to her. I had a woman who was an hour away, all ready to drive down and knock on the door and go check on this baby. Beautiful girl, gone. And so if I got 100 kids through, I might be able to see a few of them to safety and the rest of them disappear so freaking quick, that you can't. Even the Samaritans and No More Deaths would get in the Bibles I gave them if they were able to get to them first and rip my number out of it so they did not have somebody safe to call. Yeah, yeah, I've got all this documented and proof of all of this, that they are 100% trafficking the kids. They are giving cartels carpet, shoes, food, water. They were actually helping out those who were raping the children. And actually, we have documented proof of them raping at their own camps. We tried to get Border Patrol to help, but they said they weren't going to get involved.
Well,
So,
God bless you. Let's, and again, I'm sorry about getting started so late, and I didn't expect to be on camera, but I thought, what the heck?
it was amazing.
Whatever. Next time you'll see me more made up. But what can we do to help you?
Right on. So you said the border wars, which is on Telegram.
Okay.
We've been having some trouble now. My YouTube, look up Butterfly VOP for Veterans on Patrol.
Okay.
They've got me really shadow banned, so even hitting the link, it's hard to find
I'm
me.
so heavily shadow banned. I mean, they
But
even do
you
it.
might be able to pull up one of my videos, then you can subscribe and like, which is
Okay.
awesome because that pushes them out so people can see. And then you can go through. I have a Butterfly VOP at the Border playlist. I think that's what it's called.
Awesome.
And you can go through and and in the links is all our information. You can go through, see the children, see what's going on, get the updates, see what's been going on since when I first got there to my most recent update, as I said, and get involved. We have info.vop@protonmail.com.
Okay.
And all of this at that Border Wars, that's Lewis is doing some awesome work in North Carolina, getting people to safety right there. We're very focused. I got some boots heading to the ground in January, and I'll be down there. There's going to be a process to the border. I mean, we've got a whole
Down in Pima County,
cartel owns our side and their side still.
on the Nogales or that area.
Yeah, that it'll be the same area. The difference is, real quick, and I was going to say this earlier, was before when I would just park my car or just pick up trash and do whatever, and the children will walk up to me. Now it's a well-oiled machine, so the cartel has them scooted through a hole in the fence, and then on this side they're hauled in, they're put in a truck, and they're brought into controlled camps. And then they're trafficked from there. And what they're hoping is people like me won't go into those camps and minister and try to share information. So these people have another outreach. We've got lots of testimony of places we've been able to help people. And, I just, like I said, as far as what's going on, let the chips fall where they may, we the people need to step up. What has God called us to do? Your media, I'm boots on the ground, or I'm wherever I'm at. I got a beautiful family. I've got things going on the backside I've been taken care of. I'm going to be where my father calls me to be. Lewis has got his boots on the ground in North Carolina. It could use so much help. We need help. The government is destroying before they're helping anything down there. They want the titanium and they want the quartz that's under the ground. They want to mine these communities. They want these communities and these people gone so they can mine it. So they're not going to help them. But you've got Samaritan's Purse down there helping. You have other groups down there helping. We need more. So you can learn through Veterans on Patrol. Also, real quick, we were having some trouble with our live streams. So we're going to try to figure out, because they knock them right out. We're in the middle of sharing about the border, North Carolina, and they're messing it up. They're really going after Lewis hard. So I'll be putting out information. I have an At the Border chat on Telegram. I will send you the link to that. And then pay attention to that for any live streams, because we'll periodically do live streams and update what's going on, what's needed right there and then.
Well, I'm praying for this new administration come in, and what they were already trying to work in Congress of all this shadow banning, that we can't get the information out, that nobody gets to see what's really going on. And hopefully we'll be able to help all these people, but actually finally show people the truth. Like, we don't just have to hear it from somebody, we can see it. And I'm sure you're shadow banned when you show any of the hardcore stuff. They're going to stop you.
Yeah. Well, even the simple stuff, even the simple explanations of here's what's going on and here's what we need to help the situation. We're dealing with a lot of evil here. So
we are. And I just want to thank you everybody for your patience, for your friends that were trying to look. I'm sure Ray will repost this so we can, watch it again, hopefully cut out the beginning. But thank you so much. Prayers and blessing. I can hardly wait to talk to you today. And one more thing. What kind of dog do you have?
she's a pit bull. She got a little bit of shepherd in her, and
I'm a big dog person. I mean, huge, love it. All right. Well, God bless you. God bless everybody who checked in, and keep the faith. And wow, it's the Holy Spirit definitely in you. I mean, that's why we had troubles this morning hooking up, because we were under attack. So thank you everybody for watching. And this is Eternal Affairs Media, Truth Radio. And hopefully we'll do some more shows. And I wouldn't even mind doing a news package with you and get some of these pictures up there and play it that way as well. So God bless you. Thank you, Firefly.
Right on. Thank you. God bless you.
All right. Bye-bye. Maybe we'll sit here for the rest of the day. Oh, end stream. All right. God bless.